Point of order, Mr Campbell.
Mr Speaker, I wonder if you could return to myself or to the House in respect of a matter that was raised yesterday in relation to the Take Note debate that we had yesterday for the Assembly and Executive Review Committee's report into petitions of concern, when there was a rather weak and insipid attempt to force a vote by those who were setting themselves up as an opposition. I understand that previously you had made a ruling in terms of a vote on a Take Note debate such as that.
Well, as the member would know, I wasn't in the chair yesterday, but let me look at Hansard and let me come back either to the member directly or to the House here. Members, the Minister of Environment wishes to make a statement to the House this morning. Minister.
Thank you, Mr Speaker, and with your permission, I wish to make a statement advising the Assembly of my response to the Mills report into waste management in Northern Ireland. The Mills report found that we have significant criminal infiltration into the waste sector, some of which is linked to organised crime. It has also identified issues for how my own department has managed this feature of the waste sector, and in particular how effectively we have responded to the challenge posed by those who are prepared to risk human health, the economy and the environment for significant and ill-gotten financial gains. This uncomfortable finding must focus us on the broader question of resource efficiency. This must be the starting point for tackling this challenge. In the 21st century, those societies which use resources most efficiently will be those that have the best chance of prospering. In the 21st century, those businesses that view environmental challenges as economic opportunity rather than as a problem will have a competitive edge in global markets. As the global population continues to grow and as consumption levels continue to rise in the major emerging economies of China, India and elsewhere, we will see energy and material prices continue to rise. In this world, allowing resources to be turned into waste will be an increasingly costly and risky business activity. In short, this will be a century in which the old mindset of waste as a natural byproduct of economic activity will be consigned to its own dustbin. Economies and businesses which persist with this mentality will find themselves left behind by more efficient competitors. This is why the most fundamental lesson from the Mills report is the need to drive greater levels of resource efficiency and work to curtail the creation of waste in the first place. At the highest level, therefore, my response to the Mills report is to strengthen our efforts to create, first, much higher levels of resource efficiency in Northern Ireland, and second, a much more robust, legitimate and prosperous waste sector for the remaining waste we do produce. The benefits to the north of this approach will be to protect human health by ensuring that waste is properly managed, ensure that our environment is not damaged and degraded by illegal dumping of waste, reduce the supply of waste available for criminals through closer working with councils who collect municipal waste and arrange for its management and treatment, unlock economic gains through resource efficiency across all industry sectors, and support the development of legitimate waste operators in a well-functioning waste sector. The Mills report tells us that we have much work to do to deliver these 21st century benefits. Let me outline now the actions my department will take to turn this situation around. As has been widely reported, an estimated total of over 500,000 tonnes of waste was discovered last year by the Northern Ireland Environment Agency in an area adjacent to the River Faughan in the townland of Maboy near Derry. This area was adjacent to and included a licensed waste facility. In June last year, my predecessor Alex Atwood revoked the licence of the operator of the facility following an unprecedented investigation into allegations of large-scale criminal offending involving the illegal disposal of very large amounts of waste. He also commissioned Chris Mills, the former director of the Welsh Environment Agency, to conduct a review into the lessons to be learned from this incident. I received that report on the 10th of December last year and released it publicly on the 18th of December. As I stated at the time, I didn't sit on the report. I released the report immediately because I wanted to put Mr Mills's important findings and recommendations into the public domain as soon as possible. This has also enabled my officials to compile an action plan based on the Mills recommendations and to engage with district councils on immediate steps we can take jointly with local government to tackle the significant problems that can arise once waste is transferred from the councils to the waste operators. What problems did Mr Mills find? The key finding from the Mills report is that the waste sector in Northern Ireland is highly vulnerable to infiltration and that some of this activity is linked to organised crime. This, though, is not unique to Northern Ireland and also happens in Britain and Ireland. Indeed, it occurs in many countries around the world, so we're not alone in facing these serious problems. But I will not allow that fact to be used as an excuse to delay action here to address the challenge. The report also highlights the vast profits and low deterrence that criminals can exploit. The report points to problems in the design and implementation of the waste regulation system administered by the NIEA. Mr Mills found a lack of overall strategy and direction, a lack of integration between different teams in DOE, overcomplication in regulatory design and deficiencies in some legislative powers. These are not minor problems. They will not be solved overnight. They will require a sustained effort over the next few years, and I am absolutely determined to make this happen. I am pleased to announce the following key actions for fixing these problems and responding to the Mills report recommendations. I have directed the Chief Executive of NIEA to implement these actions in accordance with the specified timelines. A full operational strategy with a detailed action plan will be developed and published to encourage resource efficiency, ensure the proper disposal of waste and tackle waste crime. This will be published by the end of June. A new Resource Efficiency Directorate will be created to bring together the various regulatory and enforcement teams in the NIEA. This will be established by the end of May. An analysis of skills needs will be undertaken to inform a training programme to ensure that staff with the right skills are posted to the new Waste Directorate. This analysis will be completed by the 30th of June. A review of potential legislative enhancements in areas such as the duty of care, fit and proper person test, the number of waste authorisations, waste remediation and polluter pays mechanisms will be conducted. This will be completed by the 30th of June. NIEA will build on its existing work with other government organisations here and in Britain, in the Republic of Ireland and across Europe. This will involve a number of government bodies, but a high priority will be to significantly strengthen the partnership between my department and district councils, who have responsibility for the initial collection of municipal waste before it is transferred to waste operators via council-led contractual arrangements. A plan for these partnerships will be completed by the end of May. NIEA will develop a series of resource efficiency partnerships with trade associations and individual businesses. A plan for these partnerships will also be completed by the end of May. A plan will be developed to ensure the DOE's internal whistleblower system is strongly promoted. This will be completed by the 30th of April. Much work has already been undertaken on several of these actions. I want to emphasise how comprehensive these actions are. Partnerships with the business community will be strengthened. These will focus on supporting efforts by businesses to avoid creating waste and reusing any residual waste. I anticipate that this will create cost savings and enhance the competitiveness of many businesses. The DOE's programmes to support community efforts to reduce waste will be enhanced. This will be wide-ranging, covering everything from continued support for recycling infrastructure, continued support for local community waste reduction projects, through to continued support for waste reduction efforts. Much stronger partnerships will be built with local councils on all waste management issues. Local councils played a crucial role in delivering waste reduction action plans and recycling efforts and arranging for the collection and disposal of waste. The agency will work much more closely with local councils to ensure that the way councils manage their waste collection and disposal systems and the way we regulate and enforce on waste work is in strong combination. This will help all waste operators understand that the public sector is working close together at central and local levels to secure major improved performance and full compliance. This will provide the extra support that legitimate waste operators need and make it harder for those operators who don't want to comply. Clearer regulatory systems must be developed so that waste operators find it easier to understand their obligations, and it is easier for NIEA to assess whether operators are complying with those obligations. I am developing a Better Regulations Bill which has been endorsed by the Executive. This will transform our overall environmental regulatory systems by creating the capacity for the DOE to issue one streamlined integrated permit to a business. It will also give NIEA uniform inspection powers. This means that an individual agency officer will be authorised to inspect against all environmental regulations rather than only a limited number, as is currently the case. This will mean the same number of officers will be able to carry out significantly increased overall number of inspections and in a much more focused way. The NIEA has also adopted a new simple operating principle in which, in terms of regulated businesses' environmental compliance performance, NIEA will make it easy for good performers and difficult for poor performers. In short, if you regularly comply, you will be freed of pointless red tape and receive fewer inspections. If you have a poor compliance record or are operating outside the system, you will get a lot more attention from NIEA. Under these general regulatory reforms, our systems and processes for regulating waste will be strengthened and improved. This will give legitimate waste operators the confidence to invest and grow their business. It will also give communities and businesses the confidence that any waste that they do create will be properly and legally disposed of. Finally, NIEA will continue to pursue waste criminals with the full force of the law. This is the essential and powerful safety net which must be in place to underpin all the other efforts that I have outlined. Tough and effective waste crime enforcement is critical. This is why we have employed 10 new enforcement experts in NIEA's Environmental Crime Unit, with money my predecessor secured in the 2012 June monitoring round. We must be vigilant and fearless in chasing people who deliberately set out to make money by damaging our environment, our communities and our legitimate businesses through illegal waste dumping, fuel laundering and other forms of waste crime. It is unacceptable and must be eliminated. This tough enforcement activity for those trying to do the wrong thing will provide additional support to citizens, schools, community groups, councils and businesses who are trying to do the right thing. There is an enormous amount of work to be done if we are to create much higher levels of resource efficiency, more effectively regulate and manage waste, and eliminate waste crime in Northern Ireland. As we put all of these actions in place, I am making arrangements for the Department to continue to access advice from Mr Mills to ensure his knowledge is available to help us with the implementation of his report findings. Finally, I wish to refer to the motion approved in this Assembly on the 11th of March, calling for a public inquiry into waste disposal in the North West and the rest of Northern Ireland. I will now be seeking the agreement of my executive colleagues to a full and comprehensive public inquiry into waste management issues across the North. Such an inquiry would build on the valuable findings of the Mills report, but be much more wide-ranging in its remit, covering all public bodies involved in waste. The nature and structure of the waste sector and its links to Britain and the Republic of Ireland, the origins of waste crime and the uses made of waste crime proceeds both now and in the past, the effectiveness of waste regulation and waste infrastructure. Such a public inquiry would need to be conducted at a time which does not interfere with our active criminal investigation flowing from the illegal waste dump in Campsie. It would build on the findings of the Mills report by revealing more information on waste crime. In the meantime, I will not delay action in response to the Mills report. Indeed, the actions I have announced today will set in motion a transformation in resource efficiency and waste management in the North. This transformation will not be easy, but is essential to protecting human health, our precious environment, and underpinning a modern and vibrant waste sector contributing to the local economy. I commend this statement to the Assembly.
Order, members. Before we go to the question on the statement, I would strongly ask members to be particularly careful to say nothing that might prejudice any ongoing criminal investigation or any resulting legal proceedings. So I just ask members to be mindful this morning of the ongoing legal criminal procedures that are ongoing at this minute in time. If that is clear, I'll call Anna Lowe, Chair of the Environment Committee.
Thank you, Mr Speaker, and I take your guidance very seriously. I want to thank the Minister for his statement. I certainly very much welcome the actions he has put in place to address the issue of illegal dumping, and also welcome the public inquiry, and commend the Minister for taking the comments from the motion that we had a few weeks ago on this issue. Can I ask the Minister for an update on the progress on clearing the site, and also in the meantime, what is the Council doing in relation to then replacing the waste operators? Where are they leaving the waste from Council then in the meantime?
Thank you, Mr Speaker, and I thank the Chair of the Committee for her welcoming of the statement and also for her question. The issue around the clean-up of the site is a huge one within my own constituency, naturally enough, and a big one here, and rightly so, given the potential costs of such a clean-up. I hasten to add, an immediate response from the Department was to secure money from the Executive, quite a degree of which was used for a quick clean-up of the area, so that any waste there that posed any potential risk to human health or indeed to the environment was removed or treated immediately. However, that leaves about 4,999,000 tonnes still there, and the issue remains how it will be treated. NIEA is engaging top-class experts to advise clean-up options at the Campsie site, including cost estimates. Clean-up decisions will be based on this expert advice. As this is happening, the agency has, as I've said, already removed some high-risk and medium-risk waste and increased its monitoring of the surrounding environment to ensure that nothing is getting into the waterways there. Every legal effort is being used to recover these costs from the polluters. This is a high priority for the enforcement action, and if it's not fully successful, I'll have to consider funding options at that stage. As regards alternative measures being taken by the councils, now, and it's wider than the local council, because the waste here that was able to be identified seems to be coming from a very wide area and many different regions, actually. But councils will have made alternative legal arrangements for the disposal of their waste.
Pam Cameron. Mrs Cameron.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. And I also thank the Minister for his statement to the House this morning and welcome it. Minister, your statement refers to central government working more closely with local councils to support legitimate waste operators and make it harder for non-compliant operators. How do you envisage this working in practice, and what areas of cooperation will be considered? And is there not a vital role here for the National Crime Agency in tackling organised crime such as illegal dumping?
I believe there's an important role for all of us in tackling crime such as this, and I've outlined today measures that I am taking and my department is taking in order to do so. I have also met previously with the Justice Minister, and we'll be meeting him soon again to discuss the issue around deterrence to this type of crime. As I outlined in my statement, the profits are vast, but the deterrents are very low, and therefore this is a very attractive crime for people out there, and I believe that the sentences or deterrents should be reflective of the seriousness of this crime. It's far from victimless. This can cause damage to human health. It undoubtedly damages our environment. And who's left to pay? Ultimately, should we not be able to make the polluter pay, it will be up to the taxpayer here to foot the bill. And I think we'd have support, therefore, from the public to pursue these criminals with the full force of the law. And I'm happy to work with each and every agency to do so. Your other questions around enhanced partnerships between central and local government, I believe, again, this is key. Partnership working has existed and does exist, but I believe that this can be strengthened further, and indeed will be strengthened further as we move forward. I and my officials interact regularly with the regional waste partnerships across the north, but I believe with the reform of local government, which we'll be talking enough about later, I'm sure greater opportunities will be provided or available to councils to interact with the department, and we can with less councils we can ensure greater uniformity, I suppose, in how councils do business.
Mr McCartney.
Gwyrmi agad a cymwn cwyl agos bywel am falsio cyrwyf yn rhaid sio agos mar sin gwyn bwegas les y merit do'n rhaid sio. Thank you very much, Mr Speaker, and can I both welcome the statement and indeed thank the Minister for what was a very comprehensive and detailed response to both the issue and obviously in response to the Mills report. I think key to this, and I think it's the Minister's own words, is that whatever we do as we take this forward in terms of the ongoing work and obviously the public inquiry, that it will give communities and businesses the confidence that any waste they do create will be properly and legally disposed of. And I think that's the way to take this forward. In relation to the public inquiry, and indeed I welcome the Minister's response to that as well, I think it is also very important that we reassure people, because the Minister will know he's from the constituency, that rumours still prevail that there's physical structures actually built upon what are yet undetected illegal dumps. I just ask the Minister to comment on that.
Thank you, Mr Speaker, and I thank Mr McCartney for the question. I'm glad that Mr McCartney recognises that we are moving forward here. I think that's very important, and while the public inquiry or a public inquiry can't start immediately in case of interference with the ongoing criminal investigation, I hope today I've demonstrated to all members that I'm not just sitting on my hands waiting until such a time when we can proceed with that, and that's why I've brought forward these proposals today, and I'm determined to get them implemented by in the timescales that I have set down today, which are challenging enough. I'm fully aware of public concern, public fear and public suspicion out there, and that's why I want to take every step possible to me to allay that fear, allay those concerns and allay that suspicion. That's why I've agreed that we do proceed with a public inquiry, and why I'm doing this in the interim. The issues that the member, or to which the member refers as around the site-specific issues, have been taken on board and are being further investigated both by the agency and indeed by officials in the planning department as well.
Mr Ramsey.
Thank you, Mr Speaker, and I want to commend the Minister and thank him for bringing such a very detailed statement and some of the actions coming out of that. The Ministers, all members of the constituency, including yourself, Mr Speaker, would be aware of the serious worry, and the Minister said himself, the fear across the city and North West. Can the Minister assure the House today and assure the people of Derry and the North West that incidents and levels of illegal dumping will not happen again?
I thank the member for his question. Unfortunately, however, I can't give an assurance that this will not happen again. What I can do is give an assurance that this will never happen this easily again. We aren't going to make life as easy for waste criminals as we have. The Mills report quite rightly identified gaps within the different sections of the Environment Agency, lack of interaction between them, gaps between the agency and the planning department, and I have, prior to today, taken steps already to address those. Where these gaps exist, there will always be criminals ready, willing and able to exploit them for their own financial gain, regardless of any impact on the environment or any impact on other people. And I think it's vital that we do not make it easy for them. The scale of this particular incident on the outskirts of our home city is unprecedented on this island, so I think I can assure them that that won't happen again, anything on this scale, and we're taking every step to ensure that we drive crime and criminality out of the waste industry.
Tom Elliott. Mr Elliott.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker, and I thank the Minister for the update on this report. He will be aware, though, that there is considerable frustration among the public, in particular with new laws and local councils where, and I know in Fermanagh I've got a number of complaints where people have got £75 fines for dropping a cigarette butt or a sweet paper. Huge difference between that and £500,000 waste dumps. Can the Minister give us any reassurance, and the public any reassurance, as to how he will deal with those bigger waste disposal dumps, mainly activated by criminal gangs, compared to the low levels?
Thank you. I thank Mr Elliott for that question. I had outlined in an answer to an earlier question of my interaction to date with the Justice Minister, and indeed future meetings that I have scheduled with the Justice Minister to discuss this very issue. Currently, I do not believe that the deterrents for waste crime match the seriousness of the offence, and that's something that I have to work with my colleague Minister Ford on, and indeed with the judiciary on. As regards those poor individuals being fined £75 for dropping litter, I've been contacted by some of these people as well, looking for my assistance with quashing the fine. However, I believe that this is enforcement is an important tool in addressing waste crime. However, it must be done on a scale matching the offence.
Lord Morrow. Mr Morrow.
Thank you, Mr Speaker, and I thank the Minister for his statement. In his statement here at the top of page 5, he says that EOB's programme to support community efforts to reduce waste will be enhanced. I'd like to ask the Minister, since this waste, a lot of this waste has been deposited close to one of our valuable rivers, the River Fatton, and I understand that some of the angling clubs have been writing to the Department about this issue a long, long time ago. I'd like to know what action the Minister's Department, he wasn't in office at the time, but I'd like to know what action or what meetings they set up with that angling club to discuss this matter further, so that this matter could be pursued long before it has ever been pursued. It strikes me that there's been a reluctance here to move on this issue, which I think could have been done years prior to it when it was done.
I thank the member for the question. He quite rightly identifies the fact that it was before I was Minister, it was certainly before Alex Atwood was Minister, and begs the question who the Minister for the Environment might have been at that time. However, the Mills report raises the issue and flags up the issue that letters have been written, there has been contact made by members of the public, including the local angling club, with concerns around the site, and raises the question as to why these weren't acted upon. This is something that has caused me a great deal of concern, even though it happened many years ago, or didn't happen many years ago. And the steps that I'm announcing today and hoping to move forward is to ensure that something like this can't happen again, that we won't have the same silo mentality that has existed within the agency and then between the agency and DOE planning. So I think it's important to acknowledge that what happened, how things were responded to or not responded to, was wrong, and to ensure that it doesn't happen again. And we have the systems in place and the safety net in place to ensure that when something like this is brought to the attention of the department, that it's acted upon immediately.
Ian McRae. Mr McRae.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. And can I just thank the Minister for his statement? And I think this is a genuine attempt to try and address this issue of illegal dumping of waste. But certainly, in respect of the conversations that I've been having with people who are expressing concern about this, and indeed from the constituency within Londonderry, are concerned about the fact that they want this House to unite around the support for the National Crime Agency. So will the Minister give an assurance that, regardless of his party's personal views in respect of supporting the National Crime Agency coming to Northern Ireland, that if indeed work can be carried out in respect of working with that agency, that he won't be objecting to it?
I know the Department had worked closely previously with the PSNI, obviously, and continue to, along with SOCA, on the very issue of waste crime. However, I have to express some disappointment with how SOCA, which is, I suppose, the predecessor to the National Crime Agency, to how they have responded and how they have interacted with my department, and indeed how they have dealt or failed to deal with waste criminals. It actually led someone I know to suggest that SOCA might be an abbreviation for silent on criminal activity. However, as I spoke to Ms Cameron's question earlier and assured the House that I am keen that I do and my department works with each and every agency that can bring about prosecutions, that can bring about asset recovery, I'm certainly happy to give that assurance again.
Thank you, Mr Speaker, and can I thank the Minister for his statement and for the actions that are contained within it. Can I welcome the public inquiry, the wide-ranging public inquiry that he spoke about, and can I just ask him, has he done any work as to work out how much that would cost?
I thank the member for his... Well, I don't really, actually. Thank the member for his question. As members of this House will know, public inquiries, by their very nature, can be open-ended, long-running, and, as a result, extremely costly. I haven't, as yet, conducted any calculations or estimations as to how much this particular public inquiry would cost. I have, as indicated earlier, written to executive colleagues, however, indicating my desire to pursue the public inquiry to them and asking for their support in doing so, and ultimately I'll be seeking their financial support in doing so as well.
Jim Allister. Mr Allister.
Speaker, massive illegal dumping at the Maboy site. It's hard to regard it as anything but a huge failure by the NIEA, and how such a thing happened under their nose has never really been explained. Since this is the same organisation with such officiousness comes down heavy on the easy pickings of individual farmers on the slightest incident of pollution, or in arrogantly imposing an ASSI without ever properly consulting with the affected farmers, does the Minister think, since they seem to have been asleep at the wheel on this big issue, does the Minister think this organisation is really fit for purpose?
I thank the member for his question. I don't think this was just a massive failing by NIEA. It was a massive failing by Planning Service as well. There's been a litany of errors, and the Mills report outlines them. I have today announced steps that I am taking to reduce the possibility of anything like this happening again. I have, prior to this, announced a root and branch review of the Environment Agency, of its structures, of how it operates, and I think that's extremely important in how we address major issues like this and issues such as those outlined by Mr Alistair. I think they're important not just to give confidence back to the public in the agency, but also to assist staff within the agency, and for us to get the most out of them and make the most of the undoubted expertise that they have. I believe that the agency needs improved. I'm committed to improving the agency and to ensuring that it is fit for purpose in everyone's eyes.
Joe Byrne. Sir Byrne.
Speaker, I thank the Minister for a statement. Can the Minister reassure the House that the local authority, Derry City Council, whose technical officers were in charge of this operation, and where 50 million has gone amiss, what can be done to reassure the public that those officers and management of that council that were really in charge of dishing out the land tax money to make sure that this doesn't happen again? And where is there going to be rigour and a determination to try and recover some of this money?
I thought Mr Eastwood's question was bad. I thank the member for the question. I have outlined the determination to recover this money from the criminals responsible for this. It's imperative that we make the polluter pay. I spoke earlier also of the need to, and indeed the fact that we will be strengthening relationships between central government and local government. Not only will we be strengthening relationships, but we'll also be strengthening scrutiny, I suppose, of how councils are treating their own waste. I hope that assures Mr Byrne.
Stephen Agnew. Mr Agnew.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. And I thank the Minister for seeking the agreement of executive colleagues for a public inquiry, though I would remind him and the Executive that the Assembly has expressed its will very clearly, and would ask the Minister to ensure that the Executive does meet its duties in that regard. The Minister makes reference to the public inquiry, including a comprehensive investigation into waste disposal. The motion the Assembly passed also asked the public inquiry to investigate the role of his department to failing to authorise or failing to regulate other industries such as quarrying. Can the Minister guarantee that that will be part of the terms of reference for the public inquiry?
I thank the member for his question. That was part of the amended motion that was passed, and will indeed be part of the terms of reference of any public inquiry. I'm fully conscious of this problem, of this issue, and it is, I assure the member, a high priority. Already, following my instruction, the DOE Permanent Secretary is chairing a group of senior planning and NIEA officials to ensure a more joined-up approach, particularly around regulation of the type of activity to which Mr Agnew refers.
Order, members. That includes questions on the statement. Can I ask the House to take its ease as we wait for the Minister of Health, Social Services and Public Safety?